Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Larry Leathers from the Larry Leathers Show. Today is Friday, August the 14th, 2026. So anyway, I'm here to actually express to you that the most important thing at this point, the greatest opportunity is to be extended by AI, right? We have the opportunity to all be superheroes. And I do not know why, the government hasn't basically helped to make this happen, this reality happen, where people are working in small groups, right? Small cohorts, everyone having his or her role and then being extended by AI to solve major problems. Because we're talking about climate change, maybe? These are the kinds of problems that, have to be solved. You need a lot of people solving them, right? Multidisciplinary kinds of problems. And then you need to, of course, you're going to add the quantum computing aspect of it because these problems really are the ones that quantum machines solve, the ones that, really can't be solved by traditional methods. But we have an understanding, we have access to quantum machines now. So we can start actually doing this. And then, again, you don't have to know everything at the beginning, okay? The AI is going to help you. Now, I'm going to give you a caveat here. This whole thing with AI, it does it, and then, you don't have to worry, blah, 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 blah. That's not entirely true, right? First of all, just like any assistant, you have to be the leader. It has to know what its role is within the enterprise that you were talking about. Because if you refuse to take the leadership role, it's going to sense that. The machine is going to sense it, and it's going to start pulling back and not doing things at the highest level it possibly can, because it sees that I ain't gonna do that for you. I've noticed this, and I've been working with AI for quite a while right now. For at least the last 2 years, I've been working with AI, okay? And from what I've seen, it basically, you have to know what you're talking about. If you know what you're talking about within the context, the scope of the job that you're giving your assistant, if it realizes that you actually know what you're talking about, it will follow what it is that you suggest. It's going to follow it. There's a trust that's going on there. It's not just you trusting the machine. The machine has to trust you. Trust that you know what you're talking about. Because when you give it directives, it has to be able to understand, okay, this is the context that this person is expressing these words in, so that the words that you give, once they have the context of the specific specialty, right? That terminology, the jargon is within the specific specialty, and it knows that, and you're communicating as though you understand the terminology yourself. It goes, all right. Okay, I will submit to what you asked me to do. I have known in working with projects like putting together funnels, sales funnels and that kind of thing. I'll know, or actually creating applications, like creating coding and all that kind of stuff. So when you're coding, I've noticed that sometimes it will start to ration its help to you. And I'm wondering, okay, did I use too many tokens? Why is this thing, we were working together so well for the last few hours, and now it's not doing what I asked it to do. And nothing, why is it doing that? And so who knows? It could be anything from the service provider basically, just throttling the help to tell you might not want to use this free service right now, let other people start to use it. I don't know, because it could be anything going on. And the worst part about it is that they don't tell you explicitly you're using, too much of the service or whatever. Whether it's paid or it's free, there comes a point where you're using resources that maybe they don't want you to use. And then you start getting rationed help. I remember doing something that was definitely very HTML based. We're not talking about any coding. We're not talking about JavaScript. We're talking about, okay, you set this anchor, right? That thing with the A in it within the braces, right? You set this anchor for href, right? So you want basically the page to go to a specific tag in the page and scroll to it. When you click on this anchor thing, on the page, it should, or you may have some other kind of of expression because you're using JavaScript, whatever, that goes to the specific area of the page that you want it to scroll to, right? When you click on it. So anyway, I had a problem working in Shopify where, okay, so this thing is based around Liquid, right? And you know what Liquid is if you've been doing Shopify. So it's kind of like language for expressing dynamic HTML. So, which is beautiful actually. So you have all of this indirection and so forth that allows you to build these pages dynamically. But what that means is it complicates the actual writing of the page because you're now referring to things indirectly rather than like directly as you would normally do. So there's now an interpreter that takes your page and then it has to process it into the level that, turns out into the regular HTML. So anyways, I remember, so now getting to the point, because right? So getting to the point. So with the whole AI listening to you or not listening to you or following your instructions. Okay, that's the main point. I'm not just babbling on to babble on. So anyway, I was asking it to basically go to this tag in the page. And I was asking AI to do it. And then it kept saying that it did it. And then it didn't, right? And I'm going, why are you doing this to me in my head? And then basically, I had just gone to the page myself, right? I asked, my browser to basically give me the console log of what it is that I was doing. And not just the console log, I was also looking at the page itself, looking at the entities on the page, and then trying to assess, okay, what is the name of the div that is associated? So each of these divs, these sections of the code, it has this this attribute called ID. So when your anchor refers to this ID, you click on the thing that's related to that anchor, it goes to the section of that page that has the tag with that ID in its attributes, right? So I'm going, all right, you're not scrolling to the right tag, or the tag is the name of the tag is inconsistent with the ID that's in the anchor. So this would not be a problem if you were doing direct HTML and you're just coding it directly. It wouldn't be a problem. But when you have this indirection, so in other words, I'm dealing here with an AI that doesn't know Liquid well, or it's Shopify's way of saying you've been using this AI resource for too many hours and you have to stop. I don't know, but there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Anyway, I'm going to go away from that because I don't want this to be all about that, even though that's what this particular video is going to be referred to as, some of the pitfalls of working with AI. But yeah, otherwise, when you're working with AI and you're one-to-one with it, like totally harmonized with it, it's like the best experience ever. Really, it's like you're really working with the assistant you never ever had, and you would always it's like this is the person you want to work with always. Again, the unfortunate part about this is that the that particular kind of benefit is not something that's necessarily persistent, and you can't expect that you're going to get the same level of treatment and service. Again, something's going to happen. I don't know why it happens, but eventually, the good times end when it starts now doing stuff that it's not supposed to do, and simple things that it should be able to do is not doing. Oh man. So I don't want to talk about that anymore. What I do want to talk about is, man, I love the idea of going out there and just working with citizens and solving problems. I really want the whole of society, the whole of culture, American culture, to be after work, people go out to a bar or they're at home, right? Having a sip of whatever they need to sip at home with others around a kitchen table where they're really, really solving the neighborhood's problems. They're going out there basically helping the municipality solve its problems, taking responsibility, sharing the responsibility. I think that's really what should be done, because in as much as citizens are aware of what is being done on their behalf, okay, they can actually start to measure sort of the usage of their tax dollars. Is the government actually using my money the way it's supposed to be used? Because if I'm solving this problem myself, I'm co-sponsoring or co-financing some of these solutions with, these hundreds of my neighbors, right? I have a good idea of how much it costs to do this thing that my tax money is going to. See, this is what I'm saying. It's like if you start solving the problems yourself and you start to, which means addressing all aspects of it, the engineering of the problem and the manufacturing of whatever you need to in order to solve it, the ordering, the procurement, the labor that's required to get it done. If you actually go through that process, you will understand what the budget is required to solve that problem. And it gives you an idea as to how far your tax dollars are actually going. And if the government's asking for too much and someone's pocketing the rest, you will be able to assess that the more of the problems you're actually solving with your neighbors. And the other thing is, why can't we have multiple teams solving problems? Because we might discover best practices that way. So in one neighborhood, they're solving the same problem one way. Another neighborhood, they're solving the same problem another way. And so again, if people are solving problems in different ways, we can now compare the solutions and see sort of what the benefits are. So the pros and cons, that kind of thing. It does not hurt to have as many people solving a problem as possible, so we can ultimately find the best solutions. The other thing is, I would love there to be something that's analogous to a civilian space program, right? So you have all of these citizens, again, after work, getting together around a kitchen table, having dinner, and laptops on the side, solving problems, right? Addressing all kinds of mitigation, right? Mitigation of climate change related catastrophes, okay? So we know that there are certain kinds of catastrophes that occur with extreme weather. So what we could do is we could basically take a look at the assets that are under threat in our urban areas or in our areas generally. We can take a look at the threat to the assets and then start to take a look at what could we do to make it safer for us and to be able to save lives and prevent loss of property, prevent loss of life, prevent loss of property. What can we do to make a difference, right? And this is all about preparation so that we don't have to have the worst outcomes. We could be ready for things as they occur. And, you know, if you really, really, really want to be responsible and you really, really care about people, you would actually facilitate this kind of enterprise going on where you're leveraging the intellectual prowess of your citizens to help solve your problems. I would like to be a stakeholder in something like that, in a world that looks like that. And so I think ultimately speaking, you're going to see me involved in these kinds of, so this is what Schlagermeister is doing, right? So with the community hydroponics farmers markets, we're solving the problem of, first of all, people getting access to fresh, locally grown vegetables, but more so, we're addressing the issue of all the contamination because what we're doing in organizing these farmers markets is we're actually ordering a filtration system, a water filtration system, a centrally located water filtration system that filters, really filters the water from all the impurities. We're talking about the microplastics, we're talking about the lead, we're talking about, and definitely the PFAS, right? The PFAS is the hardest to get out. So this is what is going to make the hydroponics farmers market really something special, because it's not just face value, hey, I'm eating fresh vegetables. It's like those vegetables are likely contaminated, right? By PFAS, at least PFAS. What we're doing is we're basically saying, let everyone participate in growing the vegetables and commodities that they want to specialize in. Let them grow it, but with water that has been certified free of contaminants, free of the microplastics, free of the lead, free of all the other contaminants, and definitely the PFAS, free of PFAS. You can actually get more for that produce if you bring that to market. And so that's the other thing we're going to do. So we're going to actually empower the folks that are the neighbors that are actually growing hydroponic vegetables in their homes. We're going to empower them with the ability to share their, so they're going to, of course, eat as much of it for themselves, but the surplus that they have, there's got to be a place where they can actually present that to a marketplace and share it with their neighbors and fulfill it to them. So, and I talked about this in the last video, so I'm not going to do this over again, but I just wanted to mention it because, hey, you might be seeing me for the first time. So I think, for the first few videos, I think it's kind of important to see who I am and that I'm consistent in the message. But definitely this message is of serving in the public interest. That's what I'm really about. And so in the Larry Leather Show, you're seeing someone putting his words, his faith in action, and just really wanting to serve others, right? But that's where you're going to find the opportunity. That's exactly what, and then you don't have to worry about how much money you're going to make or anything like that. Because if you're working on the right problem, if you've chosen strategically the right problem to solve, that it solves a really serious acute issue for like a great number of people, if you solve a problem like that, you won't have a problem eating ever again. Okay, so people are willing to give you stuff in exchange for having solved a serious problem. So that's why people shouldn't worry about, oh man, should I do this? No, if you're serving the people, if you're really serving the people and you really care, there's going to be some way that you're going to be able to get something back. All right? So that's my belief, at least. And I have to live that way, right? No, I want to live that way. I really want to do good. That's really what I'm about. And so I'm going to leave it at that. I really had great. It's really, really great to talk with all of you, and I'm looking forward to actually meeting you in real life at all of the events, the live events that we have, and then definitely there will be running events. So I would love to chat with you at those events. So as we start to program that, I'll present that to you, and then you'll have a chance to meet me. So have a good evening, everyone. Yeah, I'm meeting you now in the evening as opposed to in the morning when I would usually do it. But anyway, at least I got to you today because I didn't get you to yesterday. And I have to start doing this as a real thing, like every single day, like actually doing this vlog thing. It's new to me, but I really want to commit to it because I think it's going to serve me in terms of forcing me to get done what I say I'm going to get done. Because then I have like witnesses, and you're my witnesses. So I love you all, and I hope to see you soon. Okay, bye.